As pointed out by some of our viewers, the anti-fouling paint color for the Roma, despite what is in the painting and marking guide that comes with this kit, shouldn't actually be red, but is rather a green color. I had been aware of this before starting to build, but I didn't have a proper reference for the color. One of the problems with building models of ships that have long since been sunk or scrapped is that it's difficult to know exactly what color the markings of the ship should be. In the case of the Roma, the painting and marking guide that comes with the kit shows that it has a red hull, which many of you will know, a very common color for anti-fouling on ship hulls because of the copper in it, which is toxic to a lot of life. I had seen other references and drawings and pictures of the Roma online where the hull was green, but the problem with going off of those is that I didn't have any information on what the actual correct green color was. And online there was also conflicting evidence saying some of the ships did have red hulls and it really depended on which shipyard they were built in. But in general there was a lot of uncertainty around it. That's why I initially painted it in red. But thanks to some of the viewers online pointed out that it should in fact for the Roma at this period from the shipyard that it was built in fact be green. And via reference from one of the museums that one of the viewers visited, pointed out that the color that it should be is this Humbrol Enamel Matte 101. But since I don't have many Humbrol enamel paints and I don't have Humbrol Enamel 101 and I prefer to work with acrylics, I thought, well, I should see if I could mix it up. And I happen to have some Tamiya XF11 and some Tamiya X2, which is a green and a white. And I used the white to lighten up that X11 green until it was roughly the same sort of color as Humbrol 101 according to the Hobby Color Converter app. I think I got it pretty close. I'm not going for absolute perfection on these things. As long as it's a reasonable approximation of the color, I'm generally going to be happy with it. You probably find even still that Humbrol Enamel 101 is only really the recommended color because it's the closest color on the market to it. Who's to say that it was the exact color anyway? And after there's a bit of weathering and whatnot on it, it is going to change the color yet still. So I think you can get away with something being close instead of being the absolute perfect color as recommended by the museum. Since I hadn't actually started gluing down much of the superstructure, changing the color of the hull is relatively simple. It's just a matter of strapping some of these toilet roll cores to the top to give it a stand effectively to place it on upside down so I don't damage the few bits that are on the deck. And then since there's already the waterline painted on and everything, just placing the masking tape over the line is actually quite simple. Once again, just using Tamiya masking tape for the majority of it and then the Tamiya masking tape, flexible tape to get around the bow and stern portions where the curve is a little bit tighter. You will notice that the hull above the waterline is a bit more glossy than the freshly painted green. That is because I had applied a gloss clear coat to the hull beforehand when doing the weathering. That will happen again when I do some more weathering on the new green hull, but in the end all of this will be matted down and it will all then be a consistent matte. So then in addition to the correction, I've been working on finishing up the painting of the camouflage for the starboard side of the ship. So once again, this is just a lot of masking of little bits and pieces and then going through this in stages and updating and correcting as I go along. At this point, the starboard side of the ship is nearly complete as well. All the major parts have been, or most of the major parts have been painted and the initial camouflage has been done. What now needs to happen is I need to install the gun barrels on all the secondary armaments, and that will allow me to better line up the turrets, and then that will also cause me to put in place another round of painting to correct some of these lines. Some of them will need to move slightly. There are already some problems even that I can see just in this initial painting that I'll correct when I do that as well. But the reason why I painted it first without the barrels is because with the barrels in place everything will get in the way and it'll just be more difficult to locate the lines with masking tape and everything. But now that the lines are in place and I can put the barrels in, and I have everything sort of generally lined up. When you have a reference for a line and you can place another piece of tape in relation to it, it becomes just a little bit easier to move things around and get things into the precise location. So everything isn't still quite right yet. It's looking pretty close to what it should be, I think. When I put the barrels in, things are expected to be a little bit out of line, but I don't think that would be too difficult to correct. So I hope this was a good update, and you can see there has been some progress, although it is quite slow. I'm not the fastest builder of models in the world. It does take about a year for me to build one of these things, and maybe you're starting to see why. I hope you're enjoying this series. Thanks for watching. Cheers.